What is going on, YouTube? And welcome to the League of Extraordinary Assholes, the second week of the League of Extraordinary Assholes. I am your host, Leon Gunstel, here with that Norwegian guy, Stu Pei, a man in green, JT Vega, and Cave Dweller. How's it going, everybody?
Hey, pretty good, I guess. Yeah. Next. I got nothing.
You have everything. Everything.
Yes, you do.
Nothing. You know nothing.
You got a lot to live for. Don't
Yeah.
kill yourself.
Don't do anything stupid.
Well, that destroys
I
my.
wasn't implying that, but yay.
Yes, you won't be
that
able to watch the
destroys my
next
night
episode
plans.
of your favorite anime called Erased.
Yeah, definitely. I fucking love
Yes.
that.
That just destroys my night plans, though. I mean, jeez.
Trolling a lot. Yes. All right. This week I've decided, instead of covering controversy in gaming or any of that kind of bullshit, I'm going to cover instead the next generation of consoles. And I know, like, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox 182, whatever the hell Microsoft wants to name their next system, or the next 720, or whatever the hell they want to call it. Instead of talking about those ones, I'm going to talk about this. This can apply more to the NX and the other two. I mean, we're going to cover the other two a little bit in this discussion, but it's mostly the NX because it's rumored that the NX will be out within the next year, and there's rumors that it could be a hybrid of handheld, and it's just rumors and stuff and speculations. But I just want to talk about this, like, what we're going to expect. And there are three main parts I want to talk about. One is whether or not they would have the optical disc system or any other form of external media that you could put in, physical media that you could use, or they're going to get rid of that. Either whether or not we'll have physical media next system, and the next topic will be control.
The possibilities of what Nintendo can do.
The possibilities of how Nintendo will screw up our gaming experience.
Well, hopefully it doesn't.
Is performance of the next systems. Whether or not the systems will, quite essentially, be able to handle games that third-party devs could pull out. Like oh my god, like whether or not they could last like the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 did. I mean, those consoles almost, let's just face it, they almost lasted 10 years. They lasted a very, very long time. Their lifespan was legendary. Whether or not the next generation, because we know this current generation, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Wii U, they wouldn't last for 5 years. They wouldn't even last 5 years. So whether or not this next generation will be able to last longer, that's another discussion I'm going to talk about. So first one up is physical-based media. Will we have a physical-based media next generation? You guys want to discuss this one?
Yeah. The positives of a physical-based media still exist, but they are quickly losing their sheen, as it were, the magic that it once had. And I think once we find a way to trade digital copies of our game among other people and come up to a business agreement that's agreeable with both people who sell these digital versions of games and people who buy these digital versions of games, I think we'll see a digital age come into a complete point of view, and them focusing more on the amount of hard drive space your system has as opposed to the amount of whatever else it has.
We're moving into the SSD era. I mean, SSDs right now are still expensive, but within the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to slowly start.
It depends. It depends. Right now,
Yes,
I'm looking at the
right
prices.
now we're not. We're getting into the terabyte era. So we're already
with hard drives.
We're in the terabyte era right now, and
Yeah, you can get a 100 terabyte hard drive for.
Oh God, 100 terabyte.
Yeah, 100
Actually,
terabytes.
four. Actually, 4 or 6.
Yeah, I gotta say this though. I I think the whole optical drive issue, we will not see that completely removed from the next generation of console, but the generation after that, yeah, but not the next one because people are still buying movies. People are still buying Blu-ray movies. And so the Blu-ray drive will definitely be, or if there's a new kind of optical drive, we don't know yet because there's rumors that there is a new optical version or a new portable media thing going on because people still want the physical thing. They still want to buy physical stuff. So, and the movie industry is slowly but surely going about to go full digital. They're about to they're streaming a lot more, but they're also selling a lot of DVDs and TV shows on Blu-ray. So I don't think it's going to be removed next console generation, but the one after that, probably. But we're talking 20 years
I am.
in time.
My ultimate fear is when we move into like games ending up being like Netflix. I don't want to see that, but I know it's almost inevitable. I'm hoping it's not inevitable. I'm hoping the industry wisens up. But how many of you have ever played PlayStation Now? How many have ever done that? It's right now. It's buggy as hell. There's a lot of delay issues. I've done it. I have a fast enough connection to do it too, by the way, and it's buggy as hell for me on my side. I tried it and it's just terrible. So it might be the future, but right now the future isn't the best for it. It's kind of like how CD games, when they first came out, it was just like god-awful games back in like the CDI era and the Sega CD.
Well, the thing that's interesting about a streaming process like Netflix, but for video games, is that it will have some distinct advantages, but some distinct disadvantages.
Sorry, I'm late.
Welcome back.
Well, yeah. Hey, man. I just wanted to say one thing. We're talking about streaming games online from a different server, like the whole cloud-based gaming. But what I'm saying is that, I mean, take a look at what EA did on the Xbox One, and they finally released it to the PC as well. They have gotten a huge number of subscribers for EA Access, and the reason is they actually do a pretty good job. I mean, keep in mind, I would not have known how bad Battlefront was if I just paid the $2 to get EA Early Access. They gave me a 10-hour trial of the game, and they give you a lot of games on that, and they're increasing their library every day. So I think that it's a good idea. It can be a working model because EA seems to be going for that, and I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. It's probably some of the smartest things they have done is to bring out.
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, the advantage of it is it could eliminate one of the biggest complaints gamers have, and that would be DLC.
Oh God.
It does replace it with a constant model of you're paying them monthly, but if it eliminates DLC, well, think about that.
Yeah.
Because it gives companies the revenue they want, but they don't have to shell out a lot of unnecessary bullshit.
This right here is the ultimate nightmare, and I've reviewed Tech USA has been talking about this for years now, because when PlayStation announced that they were going to do this, he kept talking about this, he kept pushing this, and then I'm like, you know what, he's starting to make sense with this when he kept talking about it more and more, and it's like, this is starting to get in my head. There's some games on like the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis that you could play on them that you can't find anywhere else because the companies have went belly up. So you can't find the games anywhere else except through the cartridge-based system. They're old cartridges and stuff like that. So, and this is why I'm still a fan of physical media, is you could still play those games if you even if the company went out of business. So if these companies went out of business. Let's say Origin went out of EA went out of business. Hell freezes over and EA goes out of business. If they keep doing stupid dumbassery, they go out of business, and all these games that you pay a subscription to, you can't play them anymore because the servers are down. That is the ultimate fear of this. Is like you can't play those.
All right, so the problem with that fear is that it is currently an unsubstantiated fear because there's no guarantee that the company who runs this particular service, i.e. in this particular case since we're discussing EA, won't have an agreement with the companies that have games on their service that if they go bankrupt, that goes to them until they can
talking about the original games.
I'm sorry?
I'm talking about like their original games, like for instance, Star Wars Battlefront. Like that one, if Hell freezes over and people actually like that game, which it's a shitty game, and I do not recommend people buying it at all. I do not recommend it. I'm saying that right now. I do not recommend that game. It's a terrible, god-awful game. But Star Wars Battlefront, for instance, it's a server-only game. It's only based on EA servers and stuff. If, like, for instance, the servers went out on that one, which it's going to be inevitable that EA shuts off the servers, the game is bricked.
Well, here's the thing, though. There's one digital store we haven't talked about. What if something were to happen with Valve?
Ooh.
Can you imagine the hell that would break loose? We're talking people who have invested. I mean, I have at least.
I have
I can't
thousands
even.
of dollars in it.
Okay, here's where you have a few issues that, again, lack some substantiation.
I've been on Steam
Valve,
for years.
Valve, by some act of God, goes down. Let's say they got nuked, because literally, I believe it would probably take an actual nuking of their main place to actually go down. Like terrorists attacked Valve and destroyed their facilities. That would probably be the only way Valve would disappear. Somebody's going to pick that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. There is a lot of, we have seen giant corporations go down before, and these are corporations you wouldn't assume would go bankrupt, but then something happens. You don't know. We are living in very unstable financial times, and anything can happen. So it's like if that were to happen, and they are going to struggle financially for whatever reason, that would be a huge problem for all the people who own it, because every single PC gamer who uses Steam are at the mercy of Valve.
Like, I'm going to put it like this.
There is offline play. I mean, even if
I am going to use this one example for you guys. There's a game I like on the Super Nintendo called Star Fox. That is one of my favorite classic games I've ever had. And there's a few others, Super Castlevania, Super Mario World. There's a lot of classic games I like. I have Super Mario Brothers 3 for the NES. Those games are physical copies. They're cartridge-based physical copies. They're going to last they've already, like for instance, Super Mario Brothers 3. That cartridge alone is 26 years old. That cartridge is 26 years old and it still runs fine to this day. It runs really well to this day. Do you think these servers will have these games up for that long? Do you think they could last 26 years? Do you think... let me pull up an example here. I'm looking on my Steam list right now. Games like Payday 2, for instance. Do you think it'll last 26 years on Steam? Do you think Steam will be around for another 26 years?
No.
Honestly, I do think Steam will be around for another 26 years.
Yeah, well, the games is what I'm...
Yes, I do believe that they likely will be around for 26 years. We've only got one example so far of a game being deleted from people's Steam accounts. So far. Yes, it happened about 3 years ago, I want to say. And I can't remember the name of the game, but yes, there has been a game that has disappeared completely from Valve's Steam's servers and people's libraries. Now, I don't know the exact details of this, but my guess is the game was around before proper contracts could be established to keep the games on Steam's server.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is that later down the road, they made contracts to make sure that the games on Steam server stayed on Steam server.
Okay, and I'm looking at one more thing here. They do have a thing in the blueprints that basically says, I'm going to say it like this with Steam, is that if the company goes belly up, and I'm going to give Steam credit here on one thing. If the company goes belly up, they have this thing in the blueprint, or in the, and not the blueprint, in the fine print, where if the company goes belly up, you could put the games on a CD, you could, or DVD. You could basically burn the games onto a disc.
Okay.
You could
Okay, who's masturbating?
you could save the games you paid for. And that's basically what you could do if like Steam went belly up. So save your games.
So I'd be able to download them and then burn a copy of them?
Pretty much.
Basically, yeah. If something were to happen to Steam, you could do that. So
Okay.
that's the only
This
thing,
is where
and that right there, I don't know if the other companies will do that. I don't know if EA will do that. I don't know if Sony or Microsoft will also do that. And that's the fear I have, is, or even Nintendo for that matter. If they,
Leon, that's part of the thing you're not seeing is the business model for Steam is so goddamn good, is that other companies would be foolish not to mimic it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I noticed that one particular company did that, and that was EA.
Yes. Which we all know EA is the devil, and is also our own personal Satan that we can blame everything on. But
yeah.
give EA credit where credit
Yes, and they would actually, people would sell their souls just to play another freaking game from them for some weird reason.
Yeah, let's give credit where credit is due. They do occasionally make some rather decent, reasonably good games.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, they tend to be really big hits. Now, they make a lot of stinkers and a lot of losers and a lot of outright evil decisions, but EA knows a smart business deal when it sees it. It did try to buy Steam for $1 billion about 8 years ago.
That would have been a failure.
Oh, it would have been just fine. It would have been pretty much the same way as it is now, only with EA controlling it.
Ugh.
It would have just been the devil controlling it instead of Lord Gavin. I mean,
Just imagine them trying to enter the console race with their own system. EA will make their own system, and it's called the EA system.
Oh my god, that makes me cringe. Okay, so basically,
better graphics than you ever before seen before.
somebody's trying to speak. I want to hear who, because they've been silent for a while.
go ahead, JT.
Well, the thing is, EA could probably make more money making a.
The hell was that?
That's my.
I don't
bad.
know. Oh, okay.
Something about a refrigerator?
So, anyway, what it boils down to is EA could have been in charge of Steam, and Steam probably still would have been the exact same as it is today. Because, let's face it, look at what EA has done with its own version of Steam, essentially. It is nearly identical to Steam in every single way.
Mm,
The refund policy is even a lot better.
Right.
mhm.
It
Which
boils
is
down
crazy.
Yeah, it's just I had to set up something. I was trying to set up a freaking.
To be honest,
dinner.
I really like Origin besides the fact there's really no community features.
Yeah, that is the unfortunate part. The lack of community features is kind of annoying.
The
But-
lack of, and the problem I have with Origin is they put my personal information, like my name and stuff like that, out on my Origin account until I finally found out, and I just hid it.
Someone would
had
actually hack into your account.
No, they had that by default. They had my name on my account information.
It's probably been a long time since you've done it with Steam, but it does that with Steam a lot too.
Yeah, I've fixed that and stuff. I have to do that all the time. Origins, I'm going to say this. Origin is a good system. And so is Steam. They're both really good systems, but my fear was with consoles. I'm not more optimistic about Sony and Microsoft as I am about Steam and EA and Valve and EA. They know what they're doing because they're catering to the PC community.
Realistically, console systems are going to have to essentially become PCs for all intents and purposes, just to keep up, because
boxes.
And we are
technology-
seeing, and we are seeing a lot of that happening. Actually, I mean, you take a look at, there's even talks of, one thing that might become a more regular thing with consoles is to have exchangeable hardware, where you can change out the hardware. But the problem is, what's the point? And because part of the reason is why, when you buy a console and you put in a console game and you actually play the game, you know that it's going to work because you can just take out the disc or buy the game on the store and just play it without any problems. Now that is going to be also be a huge problem for the console market. I mean, we're seeing the Steam machines, we're seeing what Alienware is doing, what a lot of their. So I think we will see more of that actually.
They've been planning. Yeah, well, there was rumors going around about that other console that some guy was trying to propose to Sega about.
Oh yeah.
It was similar to be Steam based, and it would also, the operating system would be Sega based as well. But the problem is that I don't think Sega would be interested in doing that.
Oh god. I don't think Sega would ever be interested in a console again.
Now, one of the things that Nintendo could do to make serious bank and serious money is make its own Steam, essentially, for everything up until GameCube.
Okay. Yeah, that would work. Everything up until GameCube. I mean,
So the virtual console?
No, like beyond the virtual console and put it on PC.
Oh.
They would never do that.
They wouldn't because Nintendo is still in the past. Nintendo.
No. Like, are you expecting like Sony to just come out and like, oh yeah, we're gonna release all these old PlayStation 1 games on PC?
There are a lot of PlayStation 1 games. A lot of, maybe not their.
Some of them.
Some of them are on
Okay,
PC.
so the reality is,
Well, I mean, like, no, but just like take a huge chunk of this library and just release it on PC.
yes. In fact, I do think they would do that.
If that meant they can make more money, I wouldn't be surprised if Sony does that. They're in dire straits for more money right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
I wouldn't be surprised if like Microsoft did it, but then again,
Microsoft, Sony, and
Microsoft's doing that right now with their games.
Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo all have an advantage with all of their old games where they could release them all on a similar idea to Steam on the PC and have their own service like that. And they would make bank.
Yep.
Well, I think I gotta say though, this is very. I'm just really excited for E3 this year to see what actually happens because there's gonna be a massive, according to what people are saying, and because they just listed all the people who are gonna show up, and CD Projekt Red will apparently have a very big booth at E3.
Bethesda
And that
has
me-
planned.
Yeah, it's Cyberpunk they're showing off, and I cannot freaking wait to see more of that game.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even seen Cyberpunk.
I haven't even. Wait, no, I've heard of Cyberpunk. I take that back.
It's
Okay.
it's not a.
No,
it's
I've
not,
heard of it, and like it's coming out, but like we haven't seen anything of it besides like one trailer.
Yeah, the only thing I've seen is that trailer.
All I know about it is that it's based on a very cool board game, called also by the same name. And I love the story, and I'm such a cyberpunk geek, so I cannot wait to see what they're gonna do with it. And it's CD Projekt Red, goddammit, who is making it. I'm like, yeah,
They just did The Witcher 3, so.
yeah. I'm a little excited to say the least.
They're the new. They're basically just being yeah. And you know what? Coming to E3, I'll discuss E3 shortly in a little bit. But the myth, the fabled Fallout, or no, the myth, the fabled Half-Life 3. Will we hear anything about that? Never.
No, but then again, nobody
Gabe
expected
Newell
that.
wants to be a myth.
Yeah, but then again, never say never, because nobody expected that bombshell announcement at E3 either about Final Fantasy VII, and
yeah.
certainly not Shenmue 3, which everybody never thought they would see a sequel to ever again.
Final Fantasy VII Remake leaked a few hours before, though.
Yeah, but Shenmue, no, there was rumors, but there was nothing certain. But I have.
Yeah, but I mean, it leaked a few hours before.
I didn't see it, and
well, I remember seeing it like a few hours before the Sony press conference. Like, oh yeah, they're gonna announce Final Fantasy VII Remake there.
the only thing that I heard was that was the fact that it was a Final Fantasy game, but everybody expected it to be 15, which finally they might have a release date for it. But then they come out with, I remember seeing something about a Final Fantasy game, but it was not 7. There was no mention of it being 7 or a remake of 7. It was essentially what they essentially said. What it had to do with the Final Fantasy 15, I believe, and then it turned out to be this bombshell. But I have to say the biggest surprise of E3 was Shenmue 3. That was probably my biggest surprise of that conference.
Yeah, the thing
It might have not been the biggest surprise, but I'm gonna be real. I was just so happy when they revealed The Last Guardian. Because, I originally got a PS3 for The Last Guardian.
But
Because that's what I wanted to get. And I wanted to play it, and it never came out. And then there were rumors about it coming to PS4 as a launch title or something.
Then you decided to get a PS4?
Yep.
Okay, what were you saying?
But, the reason I do believe that we're probably going to eventually see Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft getting a lot of their old games put on PC is because they're seeing that it's making money. Hand over fist, it's making money.
I see Microsoft doing it, but I don't see Nintendo doing it.
I'm not going to be surprised. They can't be living on a prayer for too much longer.
Well,
and anything, I can see them porting some NES games to mobile.
Well, let's put it this way: this would actually prevent people from using emulators.
Yes, it would. I mean, I wouldn't have a use for an emulator if I could. With some of the games I can never play, if they could at least release them on heck, even if they did their own version of Steam. If Nintendo did their own version, it's okay.
Or they did the Best of Nintendo Volume 1.
Yes,
with all their NES games on one disc.
Nintendo did with Steam, for instance. If Nintendo did that on Steam as well, I mean, they just gave us Golden Axe so that I could play that one again. Now it's actually a really good game from the Genesis era.
Yeah, they also put it on Wii U too.
Yeah, but moving on, and the reason why we could see this is Nintendo. The one they were heavily relying on was the 3DS for the longest time, because the Wii U didn't sell.
They still are.
They're heavily reliant and surviving off of the 3DS. Like how Sony isn't worrying about the Vita, they're worrying about the PS4. That's their main system and stuff. And like with Nintendo, when the 3DS, when people stop buying stuff for the 3DS and people stop caring about the 3DS, what are they going to do next?
But for example, did you guys see the leaked marketing budget for Nintendo of America this year?
What was it?
Just to give you an example, the 3DS for the entire year across multiple games is getting at least $50 million.
Ooh.
While the Wii U is getting 30, with $10 million reserved for Zelda Wii U and that transferring over to the NX if the NX port of Zelda Wii U is out in time for the end of the year. So really, the Wii U has a marketing budget of like $20 million against the Nintendo against the 3DS. It's like 50.
Well, it's gonna be interesting no matter to see this stuff, and I hope that Nintendo will. But I think I need to say the obvious here. What a lot of people are saying, have also been saying, that Nintendo just need to stop making hardware and go software only and make games.
No.
No, it's Nintendo. They're not going to stop making hardware. They never have. They never will. Unless their next, and I'm going to say it like this, the only time Nintendo will ever stop making hardware is when they end up like Sega. When people stop buying it. That's when you'll see Nintendo stop making hardware. Is when a lot of people stop buying it and they get the same numbers as Sega did with the Dreamcast, while the other consoles are doing well. That's who you're.
Yes, like the Wii U didn't do well, but it still sold about like 10 million units. I mean, it bombed, but at least it made some form of money.
Yeah, that's don't you think that is a little bit sugarcoating, Matthew?
I'm not saying that's good. That's horrible. Those are horrible sales.
Basically saying he's trying to be. It's glass half full is how he's putting it.
Yeah, I get that.
That's like.
But I mean, it sold more than the. It sold more than the Dreamcast. I mean, it sold more than a lot of consoles we all consider just bombs.
Yeah, but
So it sold more consoles than a lot of consoles we consider bombs.
Yes.
When the amount of people gaming.
Let's consider it like this: the ratio of the other consoles being sold compared to the Wii U. It's almost like the ratio of like how the other consoles sold compared to the consoles that bombed.
Yeah, but there's something to consider with the consoles that bombed. There was also a smaller selection of people gaming at those times when those consoles bombed.
And that's I meant the ratio. Look at the ratio.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. At the time, Nintendo, for a long time, Nintendo didn't really have any big competitors. They basically owned the market alone. I mean, after the video game crash after Atari, and Nintendo started getting into the market, there was a lot of people saying it was almost impossible. The reason why Nintendo, you can kind of say that Nintendo in a way created Sega, and the reason they created Sega was because, and I say that, the reason I say that is because Nintendo was so strict with the people they were working with. They wanted to have total control over everything. And Sega said, we're willing to give you the rights to your own games, and we're not going to take away every little bit of profit that you make on your own game. And that's why a lot of people actually decided to go to Sega. Third-party developers went to Sega, and that's how they became popular, because Nintendo started getting too greedy back in the 80s.
And that's how, and that whole same thing, Nintendo also created PlayStation.
Oh yeah, after their major fuck up with
they decided to go with Philips, even though Philips screwed them over in the end. It's just like you had this like longtime girlfriend, and she's like, "Oh, this other guy's better than you," and dumps you for him, which I know from personal experience. And then he's like, "Oh, I just used you just for a little bit," and they're like, "I found someone way better than you." It's just like it's an endless cycle. And Philips did the same thing. And then they took the Mario and Zelda trademarks and made these shitty games with the CDI.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about
Anyway.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah, but let's not get into gaming history. We're talking about next gen. Moving on.
Again.
I was about to say something about next gen.
Back to the Wii U.
Thank
It
you.
sold 3 times as much as the Vita. Take that.
Oh god.
That's saying literally nothing.
So
Yeah.
you're saying that it was a handheld console.
No, it sold
That's
3 times more than the Vita.
That's-
Wow.
The Vita,
That's-
in my eyes, was a
that's-
bona fide
that's-
bomb.
yes.
It sold more than a system
Okay.
that was dead on arrival.
The
Yes.
Vita wasn't dead on arrival. It was dead within like 3 months.
Name 10 great games on it.
I bought the
More than
Vita,
that.
and it was the biggest mistake I ever made.
I believe that too, but the Vita has a lot of good games.
Killzone Mercenary is one of the best
Like Killzone Mercenary, Persona
It's
4
the best
Golden,
handheld game.
Gravity Rush.
Yeah, but moving on now. We're gonna. I want to get into something different here. We've been talking
Leon?
about, like, the whole story. Go ahead and talk, Norwegian guy. One last thing.
I just before you move on, I just wanted to say one thing to Matthew. That is what I call sugarcoating and spin. When you compare the sales numbers of the fucking Wii U with the goddamn Vita, that is some big fucking spin. Right?
Oh, it
3
is.
times more than the Vita.
It is.
It's just like saying the Dreamcast, like the Sega Master System, didn't do that well, but sure did better than the ColecoVision. Or no, or the Sega CD didn't do that well, but sure in hell did better than the Atari Jaguar.
Oh, by the way,
Actually,
what
let me
about-
get the Sega CD
It
sales.
did better than
Really
it did better than the TurboGrafx system.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of
So
which, how much have the 3DS sold in total? I'm talking all
I
across
want to
all
say
models.
around 60 million.
I think
That's
it was
not
over
bad.
100 million, actually. Hold on. Let me double check.
No,
All
the DS
models.
sold 100 million.
Mhm.
Nintendo.
Sega CD sold 2.24 million.
Yeah, that's still better than the TurboGrafx.
That's 2.2 million suckers. The Sega CD sucked balls.
Oh God, my cousin was one of those suckers. He had a Sega CD.
The TurboGrafx 16 sold 2.5 million in America.
Oh God, yeah. Now, moving on.
Wait, have you guys heard about the name of the new Kanye West album?
What is it?
TurboGrafx 16.
Oh,
I'm not even kidding. It's actually
now,
TurboGrafx.
I've talked about games and disk storage for way too long now. Moving on to this is another important one that I want to talk about because we went way too long. And I was hoping that this one wouldn't last long. This next one's going to be about like control of the next gen systems, like whether or not they be dumb enough to go to touchpad systems. Like Nintendo just recently announced that their patents for a touchpad controller-based system. Whether or
Oh
not
yeah, that's so. The NX is gonna have a touchpad.
50 million. 50 million is the total.
it's, you know what, I gotta say one thing. I'm fine with like there being a screen you could touch, but I want to see actual physical buttons and sticks. I want that. I want there to be our trigger buttons.
Let's
bumper.
face it, Nintendo's proven it with their own system. The iPhones and smartphones have proven it with their own systems. Every single video game system that has had a touchscreen has proven time and time again they cannot make a perfect touchscreen control system.
Oh God. I hate.
So they've proven to themselves repeatedly that they cannot make a perfect touchscreen control system.
No, because the problem with touchscreens is that if they get dirty or anything, or even if it's like slightly grime on them, you barely control them really well. I had to like heavily wipe down a screen and then make sure it's dry completely before I could use it.
Yeah,
With my phone, same way.
We aren't heading for a touchscreen future, nor are we heading for a motion-controlled screen.
Oh God!
We haven't perfected those things. And until those things are perfected, and I don't mean, oh, they work okay enough. It's when they are spot on is when they will be okay enough, because all the other control systems work better.
And PlayStation 4 had that bad with both touchscreen and motion. PlayStation 4 featured both of the worst. Like, for instance, if you played Infamous Second Son, it featured both of the worst. Like, you would have to like swipe up on the touchpad of the PlayStation 4 controller. Not only would you have to swipe up on the touchpad, but you would also have to or you would have to move the controller around and shake it like it's a spray can or spray paint.
I know. Let's talk about an operating system recently that decided to utilize the touchscreen system.
Oh,
Windows. That was great, wasn't it?
Ugh.
What?
God.
That wasn't great? Come on. The people behind Windows couldn't make a great touchscreen system that worked for everybody?
Okay, I don't even get me started on this shit because seriously, okay, first of all, they forced everybody to upgrade to Windows 10, right? Now here's the thing: why the fuck do we who use the mouse and keyboard still are forced to use the goddamn Metro system? I hate it. It
You
looks
upgraded to Windows 10. I stayed behind like a good person. You
I
screwed up.
The only
Go back.
thing about Windows 10 that I really like, but the one thing about Windows 10 that actually is good compared to Windows 7 and Windows 8 is that it doesn't rape your computer for resources, and that is actually a good thing, especially when it comes to gaming. So a lot of my games are running way better on Windows 10, so that's a trade-off, I guess. But I don't know. You
You just had to sell your soul for that.
I gotta say it like this: within controls and stuff like that, this is for everything with controls. Keep the touchscreens out, keep the motion controls out, keep the Kinect cameras out. Do not ever bring the cameras back in. Do not ever bring motion back in. Do not ever bring touchscreen back in.
Oh, come on, though.
Do not introduce.
Motion controls were the gaming of the future.
Do not introduce.
I
virtual
just
reality.
love how quickly Microsoft just basically said fuck it when it came to the Kinect. You know, they were like, people who bought the Xbox One were like, we fucking hate this, and they're like, but you need it. And then a couple of months later, fine, we're not gonna talk about it
Yeah,
anymore.
the thing is, if Nintendo did their entire system, their next system, entirely with touch control screen, it wouldn't sell. It would that would tank so hard. They would have to. They would have to.
The only game that I noticed that actually utilizes that the Kinect thing was Dance Central, and the other one, I believe that Ubisoft made. It was
Oh God, Just Dance.
Just Dance. Those are the only games that actually utilize it because a lot of people wanted a rhythm game, and that turned out to be a very popular game among Kinect users. Even though it wasn't the best game ever made, but it did get you into the game by doing the dance rhythm stuff.
I'm gonna put one thing that these gimmicks are, except for touchscreens, all these other ones and stuff, because touchscreens were around for a long time. It was around since the DS. Touchscreens have been around since the DS. PlayStation Vita attempted it and failed miserably with the touchscreen and camera-based systems. Miserably with the PlayStation. I can't tell you how bad it was with like Assassin's Creed Liberation. Good game on the PlayStation Vita, but then they made you have to play with the touchscreen. Same with Killzone Mercenary. Good, amazing game, but then it's like, oh, everything has to be touch-based. No, I just want an amazing first-person shooter on the go like Assassin's Creed Liberation. I want a good Assassin's Creed game that I can take with me. I don't want to have to freaking play shine my camera into the lights, like if I'm playing at night or if I'm traveling or something. I don't want to shine into a light when there is no light. It was like the dumbest
Liberation.
It was a terrible game, and I literally had to have a flashlight going into the camera just to have it work. It was terrible. It was a god awful game when it came to the gimmick and stuff. And Assassin's Creed Liberation and Killzone Mercenary are shining examples of why you don't focus on gimmick-based systems and just focus on like the controls that the games come with. Like for instance, the Wii U. For instance, I've
Leon?
a few games. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say I got to take off, man. But it's been great chatting with you all.
Okay.
A lot of interesting things. I think I just wanted to say on a final note before I go. if the rumors are true, and we will see a reveal of the NX in the later March or April, because it's rumored that it will be shown before E3. Then we can actually get a look at this thing and even just talk more about it then, because right now we don't know anything. We really know very little
And that's
about.
that much.
But anyways, I'll see you guys later. So you guys have a good night.
Take care.
Take care.
See ya.
All right. Moving on. That's all I gotta say is the touchscreen was terrible, and the camera-based system, motion control, they were all god-awful. And like the PlayStation Vita is a shining example of what happens when you do motion and touchscreen. Assassin's Creed Liberation and Killzone Mercenary are two shining examples of why you never do that. And I'm hoping the next generation systems have learned from those mistakes. I don't think they ever will learn from those mistakes, but I hope they look at the Vita as an example of don't do that. Don't do that at all. But they should never put those in. And there's this new one that's coming out that Sony is heavily focused on that also features under a controller, even though it's also viewing and stuff, is the the VR system.
PlayStation VR.
Yes,
Vive.
VR, Oculus, PlayStation VR. There is one game I would love to try PlayStation VR. That's a new Ace Combat game, but that game you always have to be at the edge of your seat when you play it. But that's the only game I could see, like the fighter pilot simulation games. But that's only the Ace Combat game, and that's for a niche market of fans of that series, which includes me. But there's few games that would do that, and it'd be fun to try Call of Duty out one time in a first-person view. But that would be just that. It would just be like an only niche market. It would be like that'd be cool to do it one time, but after that one time, it's.
I think you failed to realize something here, Leon. That every new gimmick they come out with, they think is actually not a gimmick, and it's actually going to be the next big thing for gaming. They actually believe this. They believe this wholeheartedly.
Touchscreens, for instance, and this is what I'm going to say about this VR. It was like with touchscreens. It's not going to have anything to do with the gaming industry whatsoever. I'm going to put that out there right now. The video game industry is not going to accept VR. It's not going to accept it. It's going to spit it out like they spit out touchscreens. You know who is going to accept it? What's it called? If the porn industry could save it, a consumer market, there will be a certain amount of consumer market and stuff like that. And we don't have the technology yet. We have Google Glass and stuff to do augmented reality, but it's still a distance away where we'll have glasses that will have an onboard screen, stuff like that. It's still a ways away before we have readily available augmented reality. But moving on to that one, the one thing about virtual reality is it will thrive in the medical field. It will thrive in the interior design field, the construction field, like for instance, like interior designers and stuff. And I'm saying this is what your home will look like if you go this way or if you go that way, and you put the goggles on somebody. Or like for instance, this one woman showed her grandfather, decided to show her grandfather their childhood home through Oculus Rift. That's where it's stuff like that virtual reality will thrive in. Not video games where you're gonna sit around like Ray Charles in an old Pepsi commercial.
Yeah, the market is going to be almost exclusively in the first-person perspective, and it's going to be way too expensive for gamers to want to, buy it strictly for the first-person perspective. I mean, that's double the cost of any current generation system on the market today. you're going to need games, and you need a $1,000 PC to even run most of the peripherals in the first place. Which, isn't impossible for most PC gamers, but then you're dropping almost an identical amount on the peripheral.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. I'd rather pay for a 4K monitor. I'd rather pay for a 4K monitor than and 4K is still there for PC gaming. I have a 4K ready PC. All I need is the monitor. I have a 4K ready PC, but all I need is monitor, so consoles won't be able to do that anytime soon, and it's not readily available for TVs yet. But but for PC gamers, it's readily available now. But yeah,
If you believe the rumors about the NX having like a sort of console side, like a side thing that would give it a bit more processing power, apparently that'll let it do 4K.
Yeah, and I'm optimistic about the NX because Nintendo can't make 2 fuck-ups in a row.
Oh yeah, they can.
They do it. They cannot, or 3 in a row.
Yes, they can.
Because the Wii and the Wii U were both terrible. I mean, the Wii sold amazing. They basically marketed it as the bitch console where everybody owned it along with their PS3 or Xbox 360, or every nursing home had it, because I went to a nursing home one time and at Riverside, and they had a Wii right there, and they would play bowling on it, and it was just like a lot of retirement homes, nursing homes have their own Wii bowling league, Wii Sports Bowling.
Oh, that just makes me cringe thinking about it.
And it's something for, it was just something that everybody did, and after they played like a few hours of tennis, they're like, this is terrible. And then they had enough of it. And my mom, she used to use the Wii Fit thing all the time, and then she got arthritis in her legs, and the Wii is now just catching dust in my house. And I'm a console and PC gamer, and I don't give a shit about the Wii. I don't.
Well, that's because the Wii's been dead for like 4 years.
But I'm just saying, I'm just using that one as an example of like the first mistake Nintendo made. This was before the Wii U came out. It was catching dust for 3 years. Before the Wii U came out, and then it just definitely started catching dust after. And then the Wii U came out, and I'm thinking of buying one. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna wait till the NX comes out before I buy the Wii U, until the end of March and stuff, until the next Nintendo Direct. Then I'll do the Wii U. I'm waiting until the next Nintendo Direct before I do a Wii U. So if it doesn't come out till then, I might look into the Wii U. Ugh.
Yeah, it's just, essentially what all this comes down to is Nintendo can still fuck up, and they're able to fuck up for many more times to come. They could probably fuck up for the next 40 years and still be in business, is what it boils down to.
Oh yeah. What I've actually played with the Wii U controller, and it's an ergonomical controller. It really is. It's a nice controller. Their gamepad, it's a nice controller. I'm not gonna lie. It really is.
As much as like the Wii U is like failed as a console, that controller is really nice.
Yes, it is. It's like one of the most comfortable.
And that's why I think they aren't like the NX is going to be a handheld. It's going to have a touchscreen. That design's really nice, and I would not be surprised if they kept it.
Yeah, because power and stuff. I mean, like if you look at the cell phones of today and stuff, there are quad-core processors being put into cell phones right now. My Note 4 has a quad-core processor in it, so I won't be surprised.
Phones have like 4 gigs of RAM now.
Yeah, and my Samsung Note 4. Samsung's always put a lot into the notes anyway. a huge camera as well. But they put a lot of power into them, so I wouldn't be surprised what they could put into a handheld-based system if they build it big enough. Yeah. So do you think Nintendo this time around will do another gimmick?
Do I think Nintendo will do another gimmick this time around?
Yes.
Maybe. But only maybe.
It depends on what gimmick you're talking about.
Any gimmick, like like this time around it's going to be virtual reality. I hope Nintendo just gives it the middle
NX
finger.
is not going to do VR.
No. NX will just do something completely domestic people. We go to the cell phone market.
Oh man, I am.
I imagine, personally, that the NX... I think the NX is going to be handheld.
hmm
And I think the NX is going to be handheld. I think it's going to have... I think it's going to be a hybrid.
Of a docking bay?
Yeah, with a docking bay that I think could also possibly act as its own console. So, I mean, if you're talking about gimmicks, I guess that would be
Controllers
the
and
gimmick.
everything?
Oh yeah, I could see the NX doing that, but
I mean,
because it would be a good system if it could be a handheld thing you could take it anywhere with you. It'd be a good system. It might sell well, unlike VR. VR, you don't want to like have your family or friends just see you in the house sitting on your chair with your camera, your VR headset looking around, so it's like saying "Oh, hello," and you're moving your head around like Ray Charles in a Pepsi commercial. You don't want it to look like that.
I
Where
believe Neo Geo Gold attempted that one with the handheld docking bay console type hybrid.
The way I think it could work with the Nintendo NX, if it did something like that, is if it had a docking bay that could be plugged into a TV with controller ports and then play the games on a regular sized TV.
that would work, and I would be
Neo Geo Gold did that.
I'd be up for something like that because that would make the console last longer. That would.
And they could also use the Wiimotes again because they're slowly moving away from the motion control on the Wii U. So they could just make it so the Wiimotes worked with it wirelessly.
And Nintendo could easily take back the. I'm not sure people will leave their cell phone games for the NX, but you'll see a lot more of people traveling and stuff, and they would stay in hotels and stuff, and instead of having to play Candy Crush or whatever for hours on end, they could just flip open the NX and just play that instead. Because
I want to say that rumor that just came out about the handheld NX having a wireless HDMI receiver sounds super cool.
It does.
And
Oh, want to hear horror stories of ourselves about 20 years ago?
Sure.
Kids today will never know the horror of being on a road trip at night, trying to play Game Boy with nothing but the street lights to illuminate the screen.
I don't know if you know that or not, but man, the 3DS screen brightness is just horrible.
I've never had any problems with it.
Matt,
And in like direct sunlight, it's impossible.
Matt, you have a lucky. The old Game Boys,
I
they
have a lucky.
did not have lights. You had to buy this stupid little peripheral. And
Okay, I will give you.
I will vouch for this one. You had to buy this stupid peripheral, which is kind of like a magnifying glass with the light going through that literally extended out from your Game Boy, and it literally was like a light with a little magnifying glass type of thing looking into it, and it looked just like it was really big and clunky, and it was really annoying to look into. It hurt your eyes if you looked at it for too long.
I will give you that, Stupe. The new 3DS does have troubles with direct sunlight being on it. You have to actually turn the backlights off to actually see it in direct sunlight. But yeah,
Oh no, I just don't see it. Period.
I've never had any problems with it. At least after I turned off the lights on the screen.
Yeah, but I hope the codename NX, like that one article that you sent me about the rumor about the NX console. I do hope. This is bad for me to say this, but handheld. It'd be a good idea for Nintendo to do it if it's a powerful enough system handheld. If it,
I think it's going to be powerful enough, but I don't think Like
I
people
wanna
are saying like they think it's going to be more powerful than like the PS4. The
If that-
handheld's not going to be more powerful than the PS4.
it could be. It could be more powerful. PS4 right now is
At the most, it'll be equal to
right
the
now, and I'm
PS4.
very pessimistic about PS4. It's a low-end gaming PC. That's all it is. It's a really low-end gaming PC.
To be honest, I've not played the 3DS since the PS4 since Gravity Rush came out, and before that, I don't know the last time I used it.
I haven't played PS4 much except for a few of the exclusives. Everything else was on my PC. But yeah, if Nintendo could have it handle the Unreal 4 engine or the Frostbite.
Apparently, from what devs have been saying, it's going to be able to handle Unreal Engine 4.
Yes, or even the Crytek engine, or the Crytek engine, that kind of stuff. If it can handle all that stuff,
Is the CryEngine even being worked on anymore?
I think there's a few games working on. I'm not sure what's working on, but I just know. I'm trying to think of which one Star Citizen's on. I know they're. I can't think of the engine they're using for Star Citizen. I know they're using an engine for Star Citizen, and it's a ridiculously overpowered game. Trust me, I know. I played it several times. But
Well, they're not using the CryEngine 3, aren't they?
CryEngine 3 has been out of date for years.
yeah. But I'm just putting that out there that Unreal Engine, the Frostbite, yeah, it needs to.
Do you think they need to update them?
They need to update. They need to update a lot of games and stuff.
Make
I'm
the
just
Unreal
hoping.
Engine 5 and the Unreal and the CryEngine 4.
I'm hoping the NX will, and if the rumors are true, the NX will be able to have good third-party support this time. Like Reggie Fils-Aimé was saying this when the Wii U was out, or when the Wii U was coming out. He's like, you could get all of your third-party games with Mario or Legend of Zelda. Like that. He was trying to be excited about third-party support, working with the third-party devs, since like they gave up on that right after the Wii U came out. That was the biggest mistake they ever did. They shouldn't have given up on third-party.
Well, that was the problem. They kind of hoped that third party would work out for them because it was their biggest distraction from making their own games. They knew that system was probably not going to work for them.
And that was another problem. And this is one more thing I could talk about the Wii U. And performance-wise, besides performance-wise, Nintendo needs to do this with the NX. They need to release a Mario, Zelda, and a Metroid game at the same time. All those games need to be launch titles. All three of those games need to be launch titles. If they're not launch titles, I don't know how good the game will do. They need to make Mario, Zelda, and Metroid all launch titles. That'll be the only way it'll work.
Okay, you remember the article about the Final Fantasy VII and combating sexism in the remake that was out a while ago?
What happened?
It was written by a guy, not a woman.
Oh my god.
It was written by a troll, not
Be right
a
back.
woman.
That is the greatest thing I ever heard. I approve. You know what? Colonel Fabulous approves.
It was a troll, not a woman who wrote that. And apparently he got thousands upon thousands of comments and whatnot, but not a single thread.
Nope. You know what? I expect that from a chanter.
Wow. The damn pose that have showed up through Gamergate. Congratulations, media. You have made super trolls. You have made trolls that are gods among men. And you've given them a platform.
Proving that you believe too much in this conspiracy.
Oh God.
Wow.
Which some of you claim it's a conspiracy.
I'm still in shock after I heard that. It's just like all I gotta say is give me 1 second here about the whole thing with the troll. Colonel Fabulous approves.
Huh.
He really does.
Jesus. Oh, I can't believe it. Can't believe it.
Yep. All I gotta say is I'm really hoping. I'm hoping Final Fantasy VII will be a good game. I'm gonna hold my breath because let's just face it, we've been burned by remakes in the past.
What? Gamers have been burned by remakes in the past? Liar.
Look at GoldenEye.
Gamers have never been burned by remakes in the past. That's just straight up lies. Lies and deception.
Taking the Jonathan McIntosh approach. Okay, moving on. So we NX, they really need to have this. They really need to have a Mario, Zelda, and Metroid launch title. They need to have all three of those games be launch titles at once when they release the game. That's the only way I could see the console release.
And I wonder why they didn't bother to launch it on the Wii U, considering it is a next gen.
If not those games, a Mario Kart game.
They did launch a Mario Kart.
They already
game
did
on
that
Wii U.
one.
They already did a Mario Kart, but I'm just saying, for this new system, they need to have those games as launch titles, like Zelda U. They should move it to Zelda NX. I know.
But look how bad did they. I noticed that a lot of people that are big fans of the Smash series, a lot of them didn't seem interested in buying a Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the tournament players, they just were like, okay, I'm gonna go play with my friend because he might have the console.
When it comes to tournament players, and I'm taking this from Nurgle, how Nurgle put it with the tournament players is most of them would rather stick with Super Smash Bros. Melee. It is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
More with the Melee.
I'm trying to figure out if this is a real article headline or not, but it says, homicide victims rarely talk to police.
Oh my god. Are you sure it doesn't say the Youngin on it?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm trying to find out if it's a real headline or not, but homicide victims rarely talk to police.
Or it's a Gawker headline.
The comments below it, and this particular one is, I'm more worried about the ones that do. And then the final comment is zombies. They file police reports.
Oh. Oh my god. Ugh. Consoles. Oh my god. So, hey Matt, you there? Okay. Well, I'm not sure if there's much more I could talk about. Is there anything else you guys want to discuss on the stream?
Choose what's important to you and
You
see the deals you care about, so you can find your ideal hotel.
Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon are coming out.
Yes, there we go. We can talk about those for a few minutes. Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon are coming out. Hopefully, the names are dumb. I get it. X and Y were as dumb as well. I get that as well because before X and Y, they were always named after colors. Now they're named after. First, they were named after letters. Now they're named after Sun and the Moon.
Oh, come on. I knew they could go with anything they wanted, really. But
Yeah.
one of the things I'm hoping for in Pokemon Sun and Moon is a space-themed Pokemon, because we know that some Pokemon do, in fact, come from space. We've got...
Well, there's Clefairy and there's
Deoxys.
there's what's his name?
Deoxys.
Yeah, that's it. And if you played Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, spoilers to anybody out there, after you hit a certain point of the game, there's an extra storyline. They did this for this game as well. It's like there's like extra chapters after the game, and one of them was you were trying to save the world from a crashing asteroid.
Yep, and that required you fighting Deoxys on an asteroid in a space battle, which looked freaking awesome, by the way.
It was awesome. Rayquaza burned the asteroid up, and it was Deoxys that was coming out of it, and it was this epic battle in outer space.
Yep. And it would be awesome if they did a bit of a space adventure Pokemon game going on.
And one thing I liked about X and Y was they featured one thing was the enemies, the antagonists to the game, Team Flare. Yes, it sounded like a stupid name and stuff, but these people were genocidal maniacs. They weren't like, oh, we're gonna capture all Pokemon. That's all we want to do is enslave Pokemon to our will. No, Team Flare was like, I hate the world. I'm gonna kill it. So I'm gonna activate this ancient death machine. That's basically what Team Flare was like in the last one, in X and Y, and that was like one of my favorite things about that team was they were just homicidal beyond reason.
Well, see, the thing is, Lisandre or Lisandre or Lisander, depending on how you want to pronounce his name, I always pronounce it.
Hey, I'm gonna head out.
All right. I always pronounced it Lisandre, but he essentially wanted to do what Hitler did.
Yep.
He was essentially an allegory for Hitler.
Yep, and it was a good idea that they did that. It was like, and they're also paying homage to the older fans as well, and it was a really good game. Even though they haven't mentioned like what the hell was Zygarde. We didn't get our Pokemon Z like we wanted. Like what the hell?
Pokemon Z will probably come out after Pokemon Sun and Moon then.
Yeah, or they might describe Zygarde better in that one. I liked Zygarde. He was like that final one you've had to face, and he was just this giant serpent Pokemon. It was a perfect villain. It was like a perfect final battle, unlike Mewtwo. Zygarde was like the hardest to capture. That's why you always save the Master Ball till last.
Well, now there are specific legendary Pokemon that have a 3% capture rate and specific Pokemon that have a 30% capture rate.
Mm-hmm.
And only certain Pokemon have a 3% capture rate versus other Pokemon having a 30% capture rate. Most of the title Pokemon, such as Yggdrasil and
Zygarde.
Yeah, Zygarde. Were, title Pokemon, and they had a 30% capture rate, whereas almost all the other legendary had either a 30 or a 3% capture rate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Sun and Moon, I'm hoping will take place on a literal space setting.
So you want them to go into space, as in they can go into the science fiction of Pokemon.
They've hinted at it since
like an alternate universe.
They've hinted at it since Generation 1.
Yeah, because I tend to recall one episode where they kind of mentioned that Pokemon came from outer space.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I'm hoping they make fun of Ash Ketchum in this one.
Yeah, the thing is that in Generation 1, they were hinting at the ability to travel into space and go on space adventures since Generation 1.
Yeah.
So the idea of having one of the main games take place in space is not that far-fetched.
It'd be funny. It'd be funny if Nintendo actually thought of the idea of Pokemon Galaxy, where you must save the world from Ash Ketchum like you never seen him before, saving the universe from Pokemon's evilest villains.
Ash Ketchum is a butt of all of our jokes. Like, for instance, Pikachu. Oh, God.
I must use Pikachu. My Pikachu is my friend.
Save the universe, Pikachu. Save it before it gets destroyed.
When you first played, like, Blue and Red and Yellow, no, even Blue and Red, one of the things you would know about Pikachu is he's the first selector Pokemon you could find and stuff like that, and that's the first Pokemon you could use to waste Misty in the gym battles, is a Pikachu. That's why Pikachu is special to me, because I always picked the Charmander, and I always got my ass handed to me by Misty, so I was so glad I found a Pikachu to send after her.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Pokemon Sun and Moon. I think it'll be quite an enjoyable time.
Yep. Ugh, oh man. So yeah, I'm hoping it's gonna be a good game, and I'm hoping because they say they're also putting on the old 3DS and the new 3DS, so I'm not sure, and maybe even the NX. Who knows?
Pokemon comes out on the NX. You what, mate?
Yep, and I'm hoping it'll have more of a full 3D effect instead of just like the top-down, like like the traditional Final Fantasy games, and they focus more on like a more of like an open 3D area. I would love to see that. They did that with Monster Hunter. I'd like to see them do it with Pokemon.
That would be nice. I did like Monster Hunter's way of doing it.
If they could do it more like that theme and stuff, because storage and stuff, like how I was going to discuss in the stream, like the ability to add more storage and stuff like that. Solid storage systems it's getting much easier to do it. Like for instance, and I'm going to get in a little history here. Nintendo 64. The biggest problem was the storage system, because back then solid-based storage systems didn't have much. You could only fit like 8 megabytes when the 64 came out, and then it could get more to 16 megabytes, and then 32, all the way to 90 something. So it's possible to up the storage space on those chips. It's quite possible for them to do it. So I wouldn't be surprised if storage wouldn't be that much of a problem for the next game.
Would be interesting. Would be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna call the stream done for right now this week, guys. Thank you for tuning in for this week's League of Extraordinary Assholes. I've been your host, Leon Godstillwood, JT Vega, and Mana Green. We'll see you guys next.
Yeah, have fun, guys.
Take care.